Lila, thank you.
Dr. Ike Mckinnon. I'm so happy to see your smile and I'm so happy to see your face.
Hi, how are you this morning?
I want to know how you are.
I'm doing great, I really am. Pat and I, my wife, we have been doing this for about 3 weeks now. Our great son, Jason, he lives here in Detroit and he's shopping for us. He has forbade us from going outside. So Pat and I stay in the house all the time and we haven't killed each other.
Is it making your marriage stronger?
Stronger. This is 45 years.
45 years with the same woman?
Yes.
What's the secret to wedded bliss?
Yes, dear. I learned that a long time ago.
So the focus of these conversations is really, what are you afraid of and how do you get through the fear? I can't think of anyone better to talk to about courage than Ike Mckinnon. 50 years as a public servant. You started as a police officer in the city of Detroit, smack dab in the 60s. You served as our police chief. You served as our deputy mayor. You've been in gunfire. You've been in city struggles. You've been in health struggles. Where have you found the courage?
My father was this tremendous person who always believed in the goodness of things. And I remember as a young boy, my dad would have me, and I hated this at the time, I started reading the Bible with him. He said, son, I got a second grade education. I can't read that well. Would you read this to me? I would read the Bible to him 3 or 4 times a week. And then after that, he would get me to explain that to him. Now, I hated this because I wanted to be out playing baseball or other things with the kids. But at some point, I started to realize that my dad was trying to get me to understand the goodness of people. And his bottom line was, son, they're good and bad in every group. There's no one group that's better than any other. The realization was that I have to be as positive as possible to understand that I can do more by being a good, understanding person than being an angry person. So I was shot at 8 times. I was stabbed twice. I was in Vietnam. I went through the 67 riot/rebellion, and I came out of that, in all sincerity, a better person.
Being shot at, Vietnam, all of these things that you've been through, the Detroit riots. How does COVID-19 and the coronavirus compare?
This is more frightening because you can't see it. In Vietnam, you could see people, hopefully. During the riots in 67, you knew that there were a great number of people who were out there and there might be things that would happen. But this you can't see.
Tell me about your fear, what you're afraid of now and how you are getting through it.
These are your neighbors, your friends, and losing people. I mean, people that I knew well, and you just don't know. You don't know who's carrying this virus. You don't know who could have an impact upon your life. And those are the things that's frightening for me.
What's it like right now when you hear the news or the phone rings or you hear about these friends and family members?
I try not to listen to the news, to be honest with you. If the governor comes on TV and has a big announcement, I'll listen. What I'll do is I'll tape the national news and I will wait for Dr. Fauci to come on and see what he has to say. In the beginning, they said it was for people my age. Of course, we started believing that, but then we started realizing there were other young people. My wife's cousin, he was in the hospital for almost a week. He's a firefighter in Detroit. Thank God he's out, but now his wife is ill. Who's next? My only fear, in all sincerity, is not being around to see my granddaughter get married. She's 11 years old, and you know Zoe. I would hope to be there and dance at her wedding. My father and my sister Gloria, they said something that's stayed with me forever. If God calls me, I'm ready to go. I'm not fearful of death. But if it happens, it happens. And you go on, hopefully, to a better life. I'm 76 years old. Be 77 in June. So my life is basically full. But these young people who are in their 40s and their 30s, and some much younger, who have not had the chance to live a life and experience the things that most of us have and do. I have a fear for my sons and my granddaughter and my daughter-in-law, that this thing might grab them. I have no control over that. So we pray that they will survive and live this long life as I have.
And what do you think about what's happening just within the African American community and the Hispanic community?
People have to listen. Don't go outside. Don't touch. We know that there's disparity in terms of the health profession. We have to look at this in terms of what can I do to make myself safe, to make my family safe, and my neighbors safe.
Taking me back to maybe your hardest days on the beat, your hardest days in Vietnam, and now your hardest days just hunkering down with your wife at home. When it does get fearful for you, what do you do to get through?
I smile. I really smile because I say that this is not the worst day I've had. This is one of the best days I've had because of this. And I think back to the good times and the good people that I've met. I was able to meet Nelson Mandela. He said, young man, Why did you want to become a police officer? So I think back to that day that I spoke with Nelson Mandela and all that he went through for 27 years in Robben Island. I think back to meeting Bishop Tutu and the same thing. I mean, they talked about life and talked about the forgiveness and being able to celebrate your life to the best of your ability. I think back to that. I think that back to the good things of my father, my parents, and good people like you, Lila, that I've met in my life.
You know, we want to be courageous in this time. We want to be Nelson Mandela. We want to be Rosa Parks.
Yes.
We want to be those people who were so strong and showed such obvious courage. So what do you say to those people, though, who are sitting on the sofa and are afraid?
We have our own control in a sense of not going out and doing certain things. But I think if we emulate the mindset of great people, if we think back to the worst days that we've had and the best days that we had, and somewhere in between, how do we survive this? Because I said, I was shot at 8 times. And people say to me, Ike, why aren't you angry? Well, why should I be angry? I mean, I'm alive, you know? and the only thing I have is a scar on my neck from a knife that the person stabbed me with. I say to them, thank God that you're still here. Thank God that you're still with your family. And you can continue to do the best things that you can to make their lives better. When my dad passed away, it was just the toughest thing in the world because I decided to do some research into the family because older African-American people did not talk about their lives. My father was born in Alabama, Montgomery, in 1900. His mother was born in Union Springs, Alabama in 1861. She was born into slavery. My grandfather was born into slavery in 1862. I have it so much better in comparison to my dad, but they had drive.
I love how positive they left you. If you had to use a definition, how do you define courage?
A friend of mine who passed away, his name was Terry Driscoll, former police person. Terry and I worked together on executive protection for Mayor Kavanaugh and for Mayor Gribbs. He said, courage is having the drive or the will to put yourself in jeopardy to help someone else. And that's always stayed with me. You don't have to save a life, but talking to someone, just having a conversation that could have a small or a big or profound impact on their lives.
Who has courage in your mind right now?
I don't think there's any question the governor is. It's those people who go out every day and have to shop for you. It's those police officers and those doctors and nurses, all those people whose lives are jeopardized every minute, every second that they're in a hospital trying to help someone. Certainly the law enforcement officers who have to go out and respond to certain situations that might impact their lives, and secondly, their families' lives.
What do you think about those people?
It's above and beyond. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to protect the community. That's what they're doing.
One thing I want to make sure before we go is that you sing me a song. That'll give me courage.
Oh.
You're not getting away without singing me a song.
Pat and I, we both love Engelbert Humperdinck. So I was going to sing this song at our wedding 45 years ago, but I chickened out. I figured that I would just break down and not be able to make it. So you got me going. And I love you so. The people ask me how I've lived till now. I tell them I don't know. The book of life is brief, and once a page is read, all but life is dead. This is my belief. And yes, I know how lonely life can be. Now that's it. That's it.
Oh, you got me crying. The way you're sitting right now with that frame behind you, looks like you got a halo around your head. I just want you to know I love you, Ike Mckinnon.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
Say hi to Pat for me. Stay safe.
And yes, I know how lonely life can be.